stragglers to.
I'm going to turn the recording. Well, thank you everyone for being with us here today. This is our Tech Coach Talk event. My name is Susan Charest, and I get the pleasure of working on our tech programs here in Middle Tennessee. So I work with a team of 3 people, and we create opportunities for programs from kindergarten all the way through to adult learners. So this is one of our programs that we host. It is a free event. And we do have our tech professionals in our community that volunteer their time to host it. So we have a few people coming in. I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask here. But thank you again for being here today. And it's just my pleasure to have Dr. Charlie Apigian to be with us. He is the Executive Director at Belmont Data Collaborative, and he is going to be hosting on a topic today called Data Science and You, how to get started on your educational path in data science. So just a couple of things I'm going to frame up before I hand it over to Charlie is if you can all, I am recording this session, if you can turn your mics off till the very end. Charlie will present for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then at the end we will open it up for questions. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Charlie.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us today. I see a lot of familiar names on the screen there. And one day we'll be doing these in person again. But until then, why don't we learn a little bit about data science today? So to start with, I'm going to throw a link in the chat. And so if anybody wants my slides from today, that's the link to download a PDF version of them, and it includes all aspects of it. Because I put way too much in my presentation today, and that's typical for me. But let me go ahead and share my screen, and we can get that started. But it's definitely something I'm incredibly passionate about. And oops, hold on one second, folks. I've got the chat right in the middle of my screen, and I can't get rid of it. Oh, there it is. Okay, but something I'm incredibly passionate about is helping others get into a data career. So let's see here. Oops, 1 second. Just got to close that. There we go. So who am I? My name is Charlie Apigian, and I am the Executive Director of the Belmont Data Collaborative. Most of you at Belmont University, most of you probably know me from my time at Middle Tennessee State University, and spent close to 20 years there in the last 5 years as the director of their Data Science Institute. Now I'm leading the Belmont Data Collaborative, and that is, keep losing my mouse. The Data Collaborative is, for Belmont, a campus-wide initiative, first and foremost, to give everybody at Belmont the data skills that they need to be successful. So it doesn't matter what your major is, how can we make you a data-driven problem solver is really the focus at the core. We're also, of course, going to continue to create innovative programs in data science and analytics, figure out student experiences that we can enhance their education as well, but also then from the external part, do good projects within our community with great partners, either companies, nonprofits, or even our state and local governments. So looking at big complex problems, how can we bring those to Belmont, help those in need to solve hard data problems? And so what we can do internally is obviously create data-driven problem solvers in every major, enhance it with innovative types of programs, and then externally, we want to partner with different entities to help them where there's a need. So just a warning, I put this on here because this is only the opinion of one person. So my advice, this is my advice to you. It's only based on 20 years of experience in education, where I have seen hundreds, actually even thousands of students go from no experience or some experience in another field to a data or tech career. And I'm not saying this is the perfect fit for you, but I do have a lot of opportunities for you to obviously get better at either data or tech. So every time somebody comes into the into our into the Zoom, I lose control over my screen. So that's why I keep looking over to my left to try to get it back. Sorry about that. So anyways, let's talk about data science. And so data science, what is the actual definition? Here's the ones that I don't like. I don't like to make it so complicated. So you'll see everybody makes it very scientific sounding and kind of hard, even though this is a pretty good one because it talks about storytelling and some of the different components that you truly do need in data science. I like to keep it pretty simple. And so when I was working at MTSU with Dr. Ryan Otter, we always just define data science as taking complex data and turning it into actionable information that we hope can add value to an organization. And so that obviously sounds pretty big, and we understand that, but to us, that's what we are trying to do. So instead of getting into the weeds of all the different tools and everything, what are you actually trying to achieve? And we think it's supposed to be something that's actionable and of course adds value. So there's no reason to do it unless you're actually trying to do something useful. So that was our opinion when looking at that. Recently we had obviously announced our data collaborative, and as we were when I was being asked, what do I think about data science? I always want to bring it back to, I think of data science as something that, anybody can do, but the most important thing is to think differently about data as we continue to go through. And I think if we can get an audio engineer to think differently about data, if we can get a marketing major to think differently about data, that's to me going to be incredibly valuable for our Nashville community. So in that, I thought it would be good to just talk a little bit about some of the different domains. I'm going to go quickly through this because I really want to get to the meat of what we're doing today. But if I was to look at all of the different domains, and this is actually from somebody else's article, but I liked it. It's all the different domains that are out there. You have basically 8. And you've got data engineering, the scientific method, math, statistics, all the ones that you see up on the screen there. And with that, you then only need a few of these, probably, if you're getting into different parts of the analytics, or as a machine learning engineer, or as a data engineer. So if I'm in analytics, do I need all 8 of these things just to provide insights into data? Or do I need some domain expertise, the ability to visualize, and some statistics? And again, this is my opinion on what emphasis these are. You might say, well, you also need a hacker mindset. I'll agree with you. But these are the 3 primary ones, I think, when looking at this. If I'm looking at it as a machine learning engineer, well, that's probably going to be a lot more of the domains, because you have to know the scientific method. In other words, the process that you go through in data modeling. You're going to need good math and statistics skills. And then, of course, from a programming perspective, you're going to need advanced computing skills, as well as that hacker mindset to figure out how to truly build a model and make it successful. And then, of course, the helpful part is to have some domain expertise as well. And then if you were to go into the field as a data engineer, what are some of those different skills? So you can see that one size doesn't fit all. And when we're looking at data science encapsulates more than just machine learning engineer. It includes, obviously, a lot of different areas. So if you're here today and you're trying to figure out where you can go tomorrow with different skills, the answer's many different avenues. And so we'll hopefully cover that today. Just to be a little bit more granular with analytics and data science. So usually at a university, you'll see an analytics program and a data science program. And so analytics is usually in a college of business, and it will normally be that avenue to look at historical data to provide insights. So a lot of times they'll be learning things like Tableau or Power BI, different skills to be able to visualize the data. Data science is going to be a little bit different. It's going to take more of the math and technical skills. It's going to be a lot of programming. You're going to be learning different techniques in machine learning and predictive modeling and supervised learning models. So there's going to be some difference there. Some of the different types of analytic skills that you would need, obviously, and again, there's no shame in saying this, but you're going to need like Excel and SQL skills so that you can slice and dice your data. Using some different reporting tools such as Power BI or Tableau. And then it's helpful but not required to have Python or R. But again, I think it just adds to your tool set if you do have those kind of skills. For data science, it is helpful to know some math, definitely some statistics. And then I think it's good to have some programming proficiency as well. It's also good to have some database skills, but it's, again, it's okay if you don't know everything. Always remember, data science is a team sport. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So if you're good at one component of it, the idea is to get people that are good at all of the things together. And then a team is usually where data science can help the most. So what is really a data scientist? To me, it really falls into a couple of different things, but let's keep it simple. Somebody that's going to collect some data, you're going to analyze, you're going to develop some statistical models, you're going to look and detect patterns, trends, and relationships within that data, and then you're going to predict with that data. And if you have additional skills, for example, if you also know how to take that model and put it into production, which is normally a data engineering type job, that's okay as well. But these are kind of the components that I usually see. And so if I was to say in general, a data science job, well, first of all, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm just not a big fan of saying data science jobs. What I'm more, interested in saying really is they're data-driven jobs. And let's focus instead on data science jobs, data-driven jobs. So where you're using data to provide insights or predictions or just solutions in general for the general public. So in my opinion, I want to create individuals that think differently with data, that know how to collect, clean, analyze, model, predict, and of course, compel action through data storytelling. The most important piece, which we normally don't do a good job of teaching in education, but we're going to change that hopefully here in the near future at Belmont. Let's figure out where your starting point is. And then from there, what are the educational opportunities? And then from that, what are the types of jobs that you can get from there? So what are those? What is your starting point? So do you see yourself on our screen right now? Are you the newbie? Are you the person that maybe is a recent high school graduate or somebody that doesn't have any real professional experience, but wants to get into data science? Or are you somebody that's in a completely different field, but you're definitely educated, you understand business, and now what you want to do is get the data and tech skills that you need to truly use data efficiently? Or are you the programmer and you've been doing programming forever and now you want to use data in a more effective way? And then finally, are you that stats nerd? This is where I probably fell into the equation. Did you already have a background in that, or do you love math and that's been your thing, and now you want to add in the programming or tech skills into your career? So if you don't fall, first of all, I think everybody falls into one of these, but maybe not exactly. So there might be a fifth one that we could create, and if you think there is one, let me know. But we're going to focus on these for today. So in looking at those, what are some of the soft skills? Do they have soft skills? Do they have any stat skills, technical skills, or any domain knowledge whatsoever? And so we want to obviously figure out where you are, and again, this is a judgment. I'm not saying that a newbie has no soft skills, but I don't know if you ever taught an 18-year-old in a college environment. You know, they're starting at the beginning and working your way from there. If you're educated, you probably already have some soft skills. You probably have some domain knowledge, but you're missing the stat and technical skills. So obviously, what can we do to help you increase your skills that are needed? And so let me be very clear on what I'm saying when it comes to soft skills, stat skills, technical skills. So when I say soft skills, here's the type of soft skills that we're talking about. Can you communicate? Are you a problem solver? Can you learn on your own? Do you know how to, what do you do when you fail? How do you learn from that? And then also, can you work in a team environment? Incredibly important skills going into that first job for sure. And, you know, depending on who you are, you might already have some of those, but soft skills obviously are really important. If we're talking about stats skills, now we're talking math, linear algebra, statistics definitely are important. Regression skills is I think something good to know. And then data science techniques. And I like to separate that out because that's not statistics, it's different. How you use the data science techniques includes math, statistics, regression techniques, but it's still a little bit different. In terms of technical skills, you know, what do we mean by that? Well, it's programming, database, cloud, and network, and then also any BI skills that you might want, visualization. And there could be a lot more, but this is just a smattering of that. And if you look at the most in-demand skills for data scientists in 2021, here's the top skills out there. So you see Python is programming, SQL, of course, database, R programming. And then you're starting to get into some of the different architectures, you know, Spark, AWS, Java, another programming language, and then Tableau is a visualization tool. So those are the most common technical skills needed out there right now. And then lastly, it's just domain knowledge. You know, what do you know about the industry that you're in? So any industry standards, what are your business processes? What is the company culture, etiquette, and then of course, data governance, bias, and ethics. So all really, really important things. So with that all being said, let's dive deep into the personas and what are the soft skills and tech skills kind of for that individual. So I'm not going to go through each one of these because we don't have 18 hours to do this presentation. But what I will do is just give you an idea on this. And again, in the chat, you can see the link to download my slides. But really what this type of student needs is they need to get the necessary foundational skills and tech skills to gain an entry-level job in most cases. If we're looking at the educated person, they probably have some soft skills. They're lacking on the tech skills. And so with that, they're probably looking to enhance their foundational soft skills, but truly they should be focusing on statistics and technical skills. If we're looking at that tech professional, you know, depending on who they are, like if you're an Alicia Novin, who I saw on the call today, you've got some really good soft skills. And yes, you're probably that tech professional, but most probably are not soft skill enhanced when it comes to communication and things like that, but they could be. And you see what my estimation is on their skills. But you're probably pretty good on some of the tech skill side. You may be good at data and infrastructure, by the way. So, you know, you can see, by the way, the orange means maybe, green means yes, and red probably means no. And you might be good at the data modeling part in the beginning, or you may not, just maybe you need just the math skills to truly get competitive. So your pathway is probably going to be focusing on the math and statistics, while enhancing those data science skills as well through programming. And so to me, knowing programming is one thing, knowing programming for data science is a little bit different. It's not harder, it's actually, I think, a lot easier, but it's something you need to do. Then finally, the last one, if you're the stats nerd, if you were me, And I think I saw Betty Ann was on here today too. I think she may have fallen into the stats nerd part in the beginning. I think she's a unicorn, actually. She's just good at everything. But this is probably more of the persona that you have. You may be good at programming, but probably not. Probably have the good math and stat skills that you need, and then some of the other deficiencies within that. And then your pathway is probably going to look more like this, where you're looking to improve your ability to communicate. You're probably going to focus on learning programming and learning the technical skills that you're going to need to become a true data enhanced person. Okay, so I think I'm doing good on time. I'm only at 20 minutes, so within the next 10, we should get pretty far here. But if I'm looking at data-driven careers, so here's where we can see what careers are out there, what skills you're needing, and then what are those actual job opportunities. So just in general, I thought it'd be good to show the Middle Tennessee Tech Jobs report. This is the last one for analytics that was done, so we probably have another one coming out here soon. This is a joint partnership between NTSU and the Greater Nashville Technology Council. It's Dr. Amy Harris that puts this together every year for us. So she does the big one, and then she gets specific into different disciplines. And this is the last one that was done for analytics. And in looking at the soft skills that are needed and tech skills, what you find is the soft skills that are needed really fall into management, communication, analysis, leadership. So you can see those on here. I'm kind of surprised problem solving is so low, but these are words that are within a job ad. So of course, management is in there, communication and things like that. And so I expect that problem solving one to continue to go up the screen there. In terms of tech skills, we've got obviously SQL is something you'll see a lot of in there. And you see, again, in 2019, Python, data warehousing, Tableau is in there. So you continually see, if you look at visualizations, programming, and then of course, database, you've got SQL, you've got Python, you've got Tableau, always seem to be at the top. That doesn't mean you have to learn those specifically, but those right now are probably the leaders in those areas. If you're looking at just jobs, what are the big jobs? Well, number one is anything with the word analyst. So if you're a newbie and you're coming out, you're probably going to find a job that has the word analyst in it. It's going to be business analyst, data analyst, systems analyst. Those are usually the type of jobs you can get entry level, and there's a lot of them out there. So those are probably ones that you kind of want to look at when you're starting. Data engineering, I know that one's going to continue to creep up. You see that right there in the middle, and that's the person that really usually takes models and puts them into production, or the person that's good at the data infrastructure or cloud environment for you. Business intelligence developers, people that can use and do the visualizations type stuff. So that's what currently, or from the 2019 data. And then if you look at on the right side there, those are the ones of the future. So you have data scientist, data engineer, the analyst is still on there. But so those are some of the different ones that you probably will see. So what I've got on the screen, these are some of the job titles that you should be looking for. And again, entry level, look for the word analyst usually, and that'll tell you that's usually an entry level type job. So if you're looking at the future demand, first of all, I thought I'd show you what's dying out there. So, number 16 on there. I hope nobody on the call today is wanting to become a door-to-door salesperson. I just think that's probably a dying profession. But you see some of the other ones that are on here, and it's probably because automation is taking it over, like accounting is one where you're seeing the demand go down because of automation. So, just be aware of that as you continue on. But the good news is, in terms of increasing demand, ones that have data involved, and I only highlighted the first three, but if you look down to number 13, you have database, you've got robotics engineering on there, information security. So all of this is, by the way, the generic future jobs out there, it's all tech and data related. Not a surprise, but obviously, if you're interested in a field in data science or in tech in general, you probably have a bright future. So if I was to just be specific again, what are the jobs that we're really looking at here today? It's data analyst, data scientist, machine learning engineer, business, and there's more. There's a lot more, but I'm just going to focus on this one because we do have some ranges on their salaries. So a data analyst, you can see, is more on the left side because it is more of an entry-level type job. And you're not a surprise. Every one of them that has the word analyst in it has a salary to the left of the screen of your visual there. And if it's a data scientist, you see the word engineer in there, you can see that's a higher paying job. And then if I'm looking at the different skills that go into that, if I, all the different components, these are some of the different things you're going to want to be able to do. So if your job is, if your first job out of college is going to be a data analyst role, or that's what you're shooting for, make sure you have some abilities to clean data and to be able to visualize at least. And hopefully you can do some modeling and predicting as well. I think it's all really important to do. It's okay if you can't deploy models, but if you're going to be a data engineer, you better know how to deploy models. But the word analyst, you probably want to be a storyteller. If you're going to be a data scientist, it's good to do that. It's good to collect and clean data, but it's, not as important maybe if you have a team helping you with that, but you better know how to model. And so you can see some of the different components. If you're looking again at salary, you've got your entry level type of individual, which we'll just call somebody that's less than 1 year. And that person, if they're specifically a data scientist, could be $85K a year. And you saw the analyst salaries out there. And over time, this is about what you can expect in salaries as of today, if you have additional experience. Okay, so a lot about what the type of jobs are out there, where your starting point is. Okay, what are the educational pathways out there? And this isn't a one size fits all again, as you'll see. But if you look at the newbie, the educated, the tech professional, and the stats professional, if I was to put all of the components together, here's what I've got. I've got, at the top, you've got a PhD in terms of higher education. To get a PhD, you got to have a master's. To get a master's, you have to have a bachelor's. And you can start with a bachelor's, of course, we know that. But if you also have an associate's degree, that leads to a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD. So is that what you have to do? Or can you go for a micro degree? And I look at a micro degree as anything that's a boot camp or a graduate certificate or a certificate in general, something less than any type of degree in terms of time. That's all I mean by that. So it allows you to get more specific. If you're talking about workshops, a 1 to 2 day or a week internal and external training, MOOCs are the online courses that you can take, like from Coursera, Udemy, or DataCamp. When I say demo or video, that's when we all go to YouTube and start watching a video, like from our good old buddy at StatQuest or something like that. And then what I do more than anything these days, of course, is I Google or go to Stack Overflow, because all I really have is one small little question. And so all of these are the different mechanisms that you can use to learn more. And so with that, we've got our starting point, we've got our types of educational pathways, and then I'm just breaking down the jobs into 4 main buckets. And so those buckets, by the way, are where you can see, like, the top one is where the data scientist, machine learning engineer, data architect would kind of be. But then you have people that are in the tech field that are using data to solve problems. That's going to be your data engineers, data admins, cloud infrastructure engineers. And then what about the person that is in a different field but wants to use data to solve problems? And that would be a data enhanced problem solver. And by the way, these are all my terms and I'm terrible at naming things. So I apologize if data enhanced, data driven sound too similar. I'm looking at it now saying, yeah, I probably do look a little bit too similar. But then if you also then look at the entry level job, it would be that data analyst, business analyst, or something else, usually again with the word analyst in there. So looking at all of those, we go back to looking at this. That's what we're trying to see. So let's focus right now on the education components and let's dive a little bit deeper into that. And so this is what I have found in the Middle Tennessee area. And I've included, again, remember, this is the education pathway. So I'm not including experience, which of course is important, or other things. This is what educational opportunities are out there for you. And here's what I have, that I found in the Middle Tennessee area. And I've included Nashville Software School because they do amazing work over there and they should be included in this conversation. So you see the analytics routes, again, mostly in the colleges of business, and then the data science ones. You've got Austin P, Belmont, Lipscomb, MTSU, Tennessee Tech, Tennessee State, Vanderbilt in that as well. And then of course, Nashville Software School. So pretty much everybody has something in either analytics or in data science. If you look at, just other options in the area, you have obviously community colleges, and I didn't break them out, but some of them right now are working on data science and analytics programs, but they're not specifically for that. What community colleges are doing really good is they have IT pathways that lead to a 4-year degree. But right now, getting a 2-year data science degree just isn't something that, first of all, I'm not going to recommend as an endpoint, but is if it was there, I'd say that's a great starting point for sure. And then if I've got some of the different course, online course options out there, those are some of them. And if you're going to do anything after today, go and watch a StatQuest video, and you'll see why I say double bam there. And if you don't, if you know what that is, you're probably laughing right now. And if you don't know, go watch our good friend Josh Starmer and his videos on YouTube in StatQuest. So you ready for the complication? You ready for seeing all of this in a unbelievably complicated way? That's the pathway. You can now see why this is so complicated. It's not a one size fits all, and depending on where you want to go determines what you can do. So if I only focus on the newbie, well, my recommendation would be, obviously, if I was looking at an 18-year-old as an educator, I'm going to want them to go on to either an associate's degree or a bachelor's, which then leads to other things. I would also say, look at the non-traditional options and use those to enhance your career as you're getting an education. I always say there's a difference between skills and education. Don't mix the two together. Skills are me going out and learning some Python programming. Education is me getting the communication skills, the problem-solving skills, the skills that make me a lifelong learner and a continual problem solver. That's an education. The two are separate things. So I always will recommend an educational route instead of only a skills route for the newbie. If you are, so again, I think I just reiterated that, but I would pursue the associates or bachelors and then attain as much experience as possible. Experience can be through data hackathons, internships, projects, or just things on your own. In terms of the educated person, they probably already have a bachelor's degree. If you already have a bachelor's, I would look for something at the graduate level if you want to go back to school. But if I've already got a bachelor's and all I want is skills, I would look at a micro degree, such as Nashville Software School, or even a MOOC, where all you're wanting to learn is one specific thing, go for it. And doing that with a non-traditional type of pathway is perfectly fine, as long as that leads to what you're wanting to do in the future. A lot of times the educated person doesn't want to change careers. They just want to enhance what they want to know. But then you have others that do want to change their career. They'll probably need more than just a YouTube video or two. So again, I would recommend non-traditional routes, but I'd also recommend the higher level degrees such as a master's or a graduate certificate, and create a continual learner for sure. If you're the tech person, what would I do? Well, I'd probably look at micro degree type stuff or workshops to enhance my stat background or things like that. But if you are somebody like with an undergraduate degree in computer science or something similar, a master's degree is a great option if that's something you truly do have a passion for. And that can obviously lead directly to a data driven scientist, in my opinion. And so again, looking at some non-traditional ways, but the master's PhD, we get a lot of students going from computer science into a master's and PhD, and that can lead to a lot of really good jobs. And then of course, the stats professional, what would I be looking for? I'd say the stats professional, honestly, probably more in the non-traditional part, where you're just trying to build on the tech skills. I am a self-taught programmer. Never have I taken a course in that, but so there's a lot of really good options. But if you really want to get a good knowledge within an area, then obviously then the bachelor's or master's route is a good option as well. And it opens up to all different types of job opportunities. So again, I would look at some non-traditional ones if all you're looking for is the programming or tech skills. But if you want to attain more, like you have a stats background, but you really don't know data science and how you can do more with that, you might want to look at a master's degree. And again, there's options right here in the Middle Tennessee area. So I'm doing okay. The worst scenario was going to be 40 minutes. So I'm right there. So let's sum it up. So the first thing is identify what is your starting point and the skills that you currently have. Again, if all you're missing is the tech skills, look for ways in the educational pathways that really work for you in that way. So looking at this list here, which ones really work for you? Again, if it's more of just, I need some skills, you might want to go more to the non-traditional route. But if you really are wanting to just get to the top and you just love going to school forever, I think a PhD is an amazing opportunity. That's what I did. I mean, I ended up getting a PhD because I just kept going to school and they told me to leave and never come back. And the way to do that was to give me a PhD, right? I mean, I just always kept going to school. I loved going to school. And that can lead to obviously a lot of these types of jobs, whether it's data scientist or just somebody that's solving problems specifically in a tech or data career, or somebody that's in a different field like finance or marketing, and they just want skills to use data to solve problems. And then of course, the entry-level person as well. So with that, just some final thoughts. First of all, know your persona, know where to start. Second, I would just go to find the path that works for you. It's not about me. It's not about what you can handle, but it's going to include what your family situation is. Can you travel to a place if you have to? How much time you're willing to put into it? All of that matters just as much. So you can't just take my opinion or my advice. You've got to also consider your pathway. And of course, choose to be a data-driven problem solver. This is something that I want to make sure. Don't say, I want to be a data scientist. Be somebody that embraces data and solves problems. Forget about the titles. The titles and the money come with it, and the fame. All of that happens if you focus on the true meaning of data science, and that's to be a data-driven problem solver. I truly mean that. And then, of course, again, find the pathway that you enjoy. Don't do what I want to do. Do what you want to do, because as of today, you are going to learn for the rest of your life if you're in data or tech. Just get used to it. And so it better be something that you enjoy, because if it's not, obviously, you're going to struggle to continue to be a lifelong learner if it's not something that you truly love. And so, those are things I think if you just take anything away today, know who you are today, where you want to go, forget about titles, just be a data-driven problem solver. And then finally, enjoy the ride and find the pathway that you love so that you can continue to be a lifelong learner in data science, or again, in tech in general. And to me, that means, again, at the end of the day, think differently with data is where I see people really thriving. It's when they discover that by looking at a data set, I can truly connect that to something else and make real difference. So that's the kind of stuff I hope you can do. So, and again, my name is Charlie Apigian. I'm at Belmont. There's my email address. Don't feel shy about reaching out to me at any time. The worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to invite you to coffee because I want to learn your story and get to know you so I can help you on your career pathway. So I didn't do too bad. Look at that, 11:40. What do you think, Susan?
Oh my goodness, you did wonderful. I mean, right
I'll take
on.
a breath finally.
Yes, please get something to drink.
Yeah, I'll do that
That's a
too.
lot. Well,
So-
thank you so much for hosting today. That was so, gosh, it was great. It was filled with everything for us to look at different traditional and non-traditional pathways to get into data. So thank you for that. I'm going to open it up right now for any questions that you might have for Charlie. So feel free to unmute yourselves or just drop it in the chat.
The silence of Zoom, I tell you, gotta love it. As a Brandis Moore, an NSS graduate, great. Big fans of everybody over there. John and Amy do an amazing job at NSS. Betty Ann, it is you.
Yes, it is.
Oh, there she is. It's so good to hear your voice. It's been too long.
So I just need to tell this entire group what an amazing amount of information Charlie just shared with you. I mean, I have never seen anything this comprehensive, logical, thoughtful in one spot in 40 minutes, no less. So honestly, every one of you here in this meeting, you are so lucky to have seen this. This is like a small miracle. No joke.
Well, a lot of this is because I have had amazing conversations with individuals like Betty Ann. I mean, she's somebody that I aspire to. So she's kind of the cream of the crop when it comes to data science in the Nashville community. But she's so personable. She knows how to take a complex situation and make it sound easy. And so, that's a kind of person. That's why when I say think differently with data, become a data-driven problem solver, it's because of the conversations I've had with individuals like Betty Ann, because she'll be the first to say, yeah, I'm a data scientist. No, but I'm also this. And those are the kind of things that I always love to hear. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Hey, Charlie, this is John Irvin from Deloitte.
Hey, John.
Hey, so I'm the Chief Data Officer at Deloitte, and just like a lot of folks here in the area, I'll second the thing on Nashville Software School. They are a great place. I do a lot of volunteer work with them. I think I might have got my question answered first. I just wanted to say kind of thank you for this. I think this was great. I always have people asking me, right, how do I break into this? What are my options? And I was going to ask, are we going to get this deck, or are we going to have something else? And I think I saw it was going to be on, did I see it was going to be hosted on the Nashville Technology Council site?
Well,
It is on our YouTube channel. Yep, I'm going to drop the link in 1 minute.
Oh, good. Yeah, because I've got a lot of students that weren't able to come today. So
Great.
that's great. And John, I do have a link in the chat.
Okay.
If you haven't got that for the comprehensive version of these slides. And John, what? Remember where you are today. What makes a Nashville Software School graduate incredibly valuable is they're usually already incredibly, they're educated. I mean, we've seen doctors, pharmacists that have gone there and then gotten the skills, and so they're taking their past experiences and now adding those data skills to their toolkit. They're powerful, and so we're starting to do that, and that's we've started doing graduate certificates so that we can get people done in like an 8-month period with the skills they need to enhance what they already know. And so we're starting to learn that we don't have to tell somebody in the education world, you got to start from scratch. You got to take 18 prereqs anymore. We're just interested in you helping Nashville. Let's be honest. And that's our job as an educator. And so how do we get you career ready for the 5,989 jobs coming from Oracle, or
Yeah.
the 4,500 more coming from somewhere else, or the amazing opportunities at a Deloitte, you know?
Yeah. Let me ask you, let me go ahead and throw in a question. We just did a webinar in our firm the other day. It was called AutoML and the Rise of the Citizen Data Scientist.
Mhm.
And because the tools are evolving so fast in the data science space, I think of it kind of like what we saw with Tableau, right? Like 10 years ago, everybody in the firm that wanted a dashboard would come to IT. You know how many people come to me these days to build dashboards for them? Like not too many. Not too
I
many,
know, I've
right?
noticed the same thing.
And so because this culture, right? There's many more people are data literate. What's your kind of point of view on the concept of citizen data scientists and the relationships both with kind of expert data scientists?
Yeah, you know, I want everybody to be part of this. So I'm never going to say that the citizen. So when we're saying the citizen data scientist, what we're really saying is the person that, again, has other skills and doesn't go back and get a formalized training, are they allowed to be in our group, kind of thing? And my answer is yes. It's okay if you all don't look and talk the same. You know, I think there's incredible value having the expert data scientist. And I think, you know, that is, you should be compensated that way. But, you know, I've been using Data Robot, I think for whenever they started, they gave me a free account and I've had it as an educator ever since. And as a starting point, it's great. Where it gets dangerous is in the interpretation of those results. You got to, that's what you have to focus on. So when I get a result from a Data Robot, and Data Robot is where you put the data in, you hit play, and it runs like 100 different models for you, and it tells you what the best accuracy is and things like that. But then it gets you a bunch of these outputs that you probably have no clue what they are. And so that's where it gets dangerous, is the interpretation of that data. So you always have to think of it in a simplistic form, make sure that you can understand it. And don't be afraid of just creating a bar chart if that's all you need, right? Don't always have to go overboard. You're trying to solve data problems. I'm sorry, you're trying to solve problems using data. That's what you're really trying to do. And so I think it's great. I think the good thing about the idea of the citizen data scientist is it gets them excited for it. You can see what you can do, and now they're going to want to go and actually backfill the skills that they're seeing when they're doing it automatically.
Yeah, that's good to hear that you got that. That kind of aligns with my thinking. And I think one of the folks that we share, folks, is people thought is like, you're going to get into this space, you've got to be a programmer, right? Or you're going to code and stuff like that. And there's a lot you can do, right? With that, yes, there is most certainly a place for that, but tools are even evolving very rapidly. So it's changing.
And again, you're going up different levels as you gain skills. And there's nothing wrong with being a data enhanced problem solver. That's pretty good. You know, you're going to do just fine in a career. I mean, I'm to the point now, John, and you probably notice it yourself. You don't code much anymore, right? Because you've kind of moved up the, you know, over time, you manage people that do that for you. So, you know, I haven't coded for over a month since I started at Belmont. I'm starting to get the shakes, you know, and so, you know, over time you get really good at talking data and talking about a problem. And so, and then maybe your technical skills wane a little bit because you're more of a management role. So, you know, it all goes together.
Okay. Well, thank you, Charlie. Appreciate your the session today and your contribution to the basically the local community here in the data space.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate that.
Can I ask a question? Hey, Charlie, this is Alicia here.
Hey, Alicia.
How are you doing?
Good.
So, you know, one of the biggest things that I've been keeping tabs on in the last year, particularly through COVID and everything, was just how the job landscape has shifted, the competitiveness of hiring, particularly software engineers. But I'm curious to get your thoughts and inputs on the data folks, whether data analysts or data scientists, or even calling them data engineers right now. Like, what does that landscape look like, particularly for those who are the entry level people? And the thing that I always catch or even suggest people to do when they're in software is to obviously focus on building their portfolio, building projects. What does that translate or correlate to in terms of a data role? Like, is there stuff that people can do to better make themselves attractive to hiring managers right now?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think what happens when you're in a situation where everything's remote and you're not able to be around that individual on a daily basis, let's say, if it is a completely remote area, is you end up assessing that individual on their technical skills. And that's unfortunate. So you're hiring based on a test. You give them a problem, they have to go out and do it. And and a lot of times students that we that we produce in an educational environment, if it's not exactly what we taught them, it's hard for them to do that at the age of 22. And so I'm getting a lot of feedback that students aren't not doing well in their assessments, their technical assessments. So they've kind of lost out on the character part a lot of times because you lose it in a Zoom environment. And so now they're only being judged on the technical, and the entry level person is struggling. Companies are not taking as much risk on an entry level person as they usually do. And that's pretty unfortunate. So I would go exactly what you just said, Alicia. And by the way, if there's anybody that I would recommend following on YouTube or on LinkedIn, it's Alicia. He just started. Did you not just start a podcast or?
Yeah, I just did.
And he's got incredible 5-minute videos helping more of the software engineer type person. And so, I think some of the best advice you can give right now, even if, it's hard for a student to kind of grasp, is creating that portfolio, get the GitHub account, put stuff on there that's original, not just stolen from somebody else. And so some of the advice I just got from a good chief friend that's a chief data scientist here in town at the General. Too many students are good at copying code, and then they're asked the question, how'd you create that variable? And they have no idea. And that's the minute they lose the interview, is when they can't explain their actual code. So they have to put together some of their original stuff to be able to get that first job. And then hopefully at that point they can grow. I'm really worried, I have to admit, for the entry-level person that goes into a remote environment. My 22-year-old doesn't want to go sit in a really awful apartment and sit at his little dinette for 8 hours a day. He doesn't have the cush office at home, and he doesn't know how to meet people outside of his house. So I worry about that. I know we're going to find a nice medium in the middle. I heard Meg Chamblay was telling me yesterday for UDIG, they're doing a lot more social events than they have in the past. More outside, things like that, just so they can get everybody together because they're completely remote now. So I know we're learning, but I think there needs to be people like you, Alicia, and myself really focusing on the entry-level people and helping them along, because it is hard right now, I think.
Just to follow up on that, then is there how is that impacting like the mentoring relationships for particularly people in that entry-level role where there's so much to learn and there's so much that they have to uncover? And then secondly, I got the follow-up on my follow-up, what are you in tune to are there more data focused communities that you would call out that people should join? Like I know that Nash Dev is obviously very big for coding, and I think they have a data area, but I don't know if there's like a Nash data kind of thing.
Well, I'm going to call out a lot of my friends, but we had an amazing data science Nashville meetup that has kind of been in pause mode. Data Nerds is another one. So we have a couple of really good ones out there. We need those communities back. We do. And I hope we can get back to that, because I do think what's happening is the mentoring is just different, and you have to, the only way and if you're a young person right now, get a weekly time with whoever your mentor is. Don't just make it where it's ad hoc, because then you'll never hit them, because now you got to schedule a Zoom, you've got to get on there, and so it's different than when they're just down the hall from you. So, I'm hearing some people that are doing really good in the mentoring space. Trinisys is doing good. They've gone to almost completely remote. and some of their managers have told me what they're doing, and I'm pretty impressed with what they're doing there. But most of them, I'm not hearing good stuff yet. So I appreciate that. Chris, I see that you have your hand up. Chris Franklin.
Yes, hello. How are you today?
Good, Chris.
Good. Excellent content. Thank you for this. I'm actually up in Connecticut, so good to see how connected we are these days. So my question is brief. I actually wrote it already. So I use Kaggle for data sets, and also I use data.gov.
Yep.
And when I can't find information I want, then I do web scraping to find what I want. Do you have any other places you look for data sets?
So I've gotten in the habit of working with nonprofits and companies to get data sets these days. But if I'm starting out and I don't have the connections I have, I pretty much will say Kaggle has gotten way better in the last few years. Like when I first started going to Kaggle, there was like 5 data sets I might play with. I mean, we're talking a long time ago. But today there's not a single thing I can't get from there if all I want to do is play around. But I would recommend going out, finding nonprofits are the best because for 2 reasons. First of all, they'll have data and they're willing to give it to you to play with.
Right.
And second, usually their expectations back is almost nothing because it doesn't hurt. So as long as I would sign a non-disclosure agreement, I would make sure I get no identifiable information, especially if they're in any type of health environment whatsoever. And just say, because what you're missing, Chris, with a Kaggle data set is you haven't asked what the problem is. You're given a sentence, but you're not sitting there with somebody and saying, what do you really need? How can I really help you? And then you find the data, clean the data, and hopefully get some insights and maybe some predictive models to be able to actually help that group. And so it could be your church, looking at contributions. It could be if you're in a student group, looking at the activities and then who does what. Any small data set is better when it's real because of those things, asking those questions. Because Chris, I'm going to hire you if you have those skills. If all you have is, I've cleaned some data and stuff like that, I have a hard time judging the most important part, which is, can you actually solve a problem? Can you actually convey that information, and can you make it actionable? So, because that's actually what I need. I don't need you to create models that nobody looks at. I don't need insights that nobody's ever going to see. I need action. And so I'd take it to that next level if you really want to enhance your skills. And that's when I got good. I mean, my best project I ever did, and I'll use this, I know we're almost at time here, is I went to our Murfreesboro Police Department here down in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I said, I want to work with you all. What can we do? And they said, one of our biggest problems is burglaries. And so we went and got 10 years of burglary data and then all the calls within that precinct. And we predicted where burglaries would be next week based on this week's calls into that precinct. And that was, and then we changed what we included because we didn't want to do profiling. We only wanted to look at activities. And so it taught me a lot. And I presented this a few times. It was a really good exercise, but I got the skills that were in addition to my tech skills by doing something like that.
Awesome. All right. Fantastic. Thank you.
No problem. Well, I know we're almost at time here, Susan.
You're awesome. You are awesome, Charlie. Thank you so much for hosting today. Thank you all for being here. And as I mentioned in the chat, I will be sure to send you the YouTube link to everyone that has registered, and then it'll also be out on our website. So thank you again.
Well, if you all think I have a little bit of passion, this is now being focused in at Belmont, and I'm really excited for the amazing things that we're doing there. But more importantly, if you ever need somebody to talk to just to get started in your career, hit me up on LinkedIn, Twitter, my email. I'd be happy to talk to anybody and help you get started. Or maybe I'll even just push you over to a Betty Ann or Alicia to learn more. So.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out, Charlie. But really, amazing work, and
Mhm.
so glad to share this space with you all. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.